Alright, rolling.
Okay. Have you started?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Today we're going to discuss bandages, traditional bandages that aren't going to get infections, and they're pretty easy to do, especially in adverse conditions. Basically, honey bandages. So we're going to assume that she has a very large cut here. Now, part of the reason for using honey is the fact that it is a natural antibacteria, and when it encounters any kind of bacterial infection or bacterial growth, it gives off hydrogen peroxide, so it's actually semi-self-cleaning. It's been used for thousands of years for keeping wounds from getting infected or gangrenous or whatever. So, as we assume here, she's going to have a large cut. So we clean it normally with hydrogen peroxide or water, but we make sure that we get it cleaned up as best we possibly can. If it's a very, very large wound, i.e. approaching amputation, you're going to want to be very generous with the honey. Make sure that it's completely covered. So, in the case of a very deep infection, a very deep wound, what you're going to want to do is spread the wound and let the honey drip into the wound itself. And it'll act as a filler. When that's done, then we're going to want to cover that with a honey-coated Band-Aid or a bandage. To coat your bandages, it's really quite easy. You put the bandage on and you spread it out. Now, to get these bandages off, depending on how long they're on there, you don't want to let them sit for more than a couple weeks at a time. 3 days or so. You actually soak it in water to release the honey and to release the blood. So any leftover honey that's actually in here will cover it with a Band-Aid, with a bandage. I prefer to use it for larger wounds. I really like using various types of maxi pads, and Kotexes are very absorbent and they do a really good job. So as the wound is been here for a couple days, we'll add various waters to it so it'll release. And as it releases, we're going to want to start from the outside, peeling it up. The honey will act semi as a glue. So and then we pull it up. You're going to get a lot of blood and honey mixed together. There shouldn't be any infections, but if there is, we'll discuss that in the next video. Wash it out really good, and if the healing hasn't occurred and hasn't started to mend together, well, then you want to go put another honey bandage on top of it. Honey is naturally resistant to all kinds of different bacterias and infections. So if you get the wound cleaned out pretty good, it's pretty much self-healing at this point. This method has been used as far back as anybody can remember. It was especially used in the Civil War and the Revolutionary War and the Napoleonic Wars. If you have an amputation, mix equal parts of egg white with honey, mix it up real good, and use that as a coating for any kind of an amputation, whether it's a finger or an arm or whatever. And that'll the albumin will hold the honey in place in large areas like that. That's what we use the albumin for. And that's it.
I'm gonna check the time. It might be a couple minutes left or next to nothing. Oh yeah, you're only at the 5-minute mark.
Explain what
I did, didn't I?
I don't know.
From the eggs.
Yeah, the albumin.
Right on. So
Okay,
you want to call it wraps on this
yeah,
one? Okay.
we'll call it wraps.
All right.